Story 1. Girlfriend cheated on me with her best friend but still talking to him behind my back and against my wishes. She is in love with two people at the same time. During the summer break my girlfriend cheated on me with her best friend, all the while keeping me in the dark, and the general communication was zero. We came back to college and I started hearing dumb things and excuses that lead to fights like, "You kiss differently? You've changed? You're not who you were." I haven't changed a bit, it's just that something felt off. One day we had an event in college and we had a lot of fun. The same night I got a call from her. She was crying and she told me how she cheated on me with her best friend for about 3 months. She told me how she realized she truly loved me. I don't like shouting on people or fighting, so I immediately cut the call and didn't want to talk further. She started bombarding me with calls. I picked up one call and told her that I didn't want to talk right now and was in no mood to discuss this further. She kept calling me. Now her friends also joined in. I was getting messages and calls left and right. She was crying and not eating. Finally I had to pick up the call. She was crying profusely and asking me why I wasn't talking to her. She kept saying I love you, but I couldn't bring myself to reciprocate. I told her I wanted to break up, but that blew the lid off her and she started crying very loudly. I somehow convinced her to eat something and not cry. She kept saying she only wanted me and nothing else. But my trust was shattered. She made me meet her the next day, although I didn't want to. I told her I wanted a break and it'll be a long time before I was normal again. She just kept crying and asking me not to do this. She kept saying I love you, don't do this, etc. After a while I thought maybe I was being too dramatic, and told her I can't trust her anymore. She said she would do anything. I could only tell her I can't do this. She kept pushing me. Me and my ex were really good friends. We broke up on mutual terms and would talk once in a while. She had a problem with talking to my ex and made me block her. Finally I asked her to choose between me or her best friend. I'm not someone who does something like this. She used to hang out with him and leave me behind, talk to him and not answer my calls at times, but I trusted her fully. She said she wants to be with me. She made it a point to show me she blocked him. It was all well and good until about a week later when I saw she was talking to him on Instagram. I was hurt. I had started to trust her again to some degree. I immediately confronted her and she blocked him again, but I wasn't having any of it. She started crying and begging me. After a lot of this I still agreed to be with her. Now, yesterday, again I saw this guy's chats. Never checked her phone. She was showing me something on Instagram and confronted her about it immediately. She started telling me how her friend was becoming suicidal and this and that. I called the guy directly and talked to him in front of her and told both of them that I wasn't okay with it and that she will have to choose. Now somehow my girlfriend told me I was being controlling by asking her to choose, and at this point I had had enough. I asked her to take her stuff and go to her hostel. I have a flat. She lives in the hostel. Now I thought talking to one of her friends who was quite reasonable was a good idea. I called her friend up in front of her and she told my girlfriend to do what she thought was right. Then she took the phone off the speaker and I was like, this involves me, I would like to listen. At this point she started leaving the room. She had already packed her stuff, so in anger I told her that if you leave just don't come back. At this point she made up her mind about the breakup and proceeded to take her stuff and walk out the door. It was pretty late at night and I didn't want to let her go in an unsafe situation. I chased after her and said I'd give her a ride. She refused, but I insisted. Finally she agreed. At this point she had told her friends and her best friend that we've broken up. But during the ride she held on to me and started crying, asking me if we were really doing this. I didn't have an answer. What do I do? TLDR. GF cheated on me with her best friend but still talking to him behind my back and against my wishes. Update. A year ago I posted on his subreddit. So I wanted to provide an update and thank my fellow Redditors. I took the advice and broke up and realized that the relationship was really sucking the life out of me and was the worst thing in my life at the moment. Since then I have met someone who understands me and cares for me. There's no drama. Well, I once ate the last pizza slice and she got pretty angry, but yeah, that's the level of the drama. We support each other and she makes me a better human all around. Because of my ex I wasn't able to focus on my studies, and the breakup combined with the COVID pandemic gave me ample time for studying, and I landed an internship at a big bulge bracket company and also am working on a few personal projects that I love spending time on. The pandemic also gave me time to realize that I was with the wrong person and I love many others who love me, be it my family, friends, etc. I feel really liberated. Today I was looking back at what used to be and I remembered that this subreddit for the trigger point for the change in my life. So thank you, and you all are awesome. It's because of you I've gone from crying nights to happy days. Edit 1. Some edits based on comments. Edit 2. Holy smokes. I didn't expect such a reaction. Thanks guys. Edit 3. Such wholesome comments. Thanks guys. TLDR. Took the advice of fellow Redditors and broke up with my ex and spent probably the best year of my life. Story 2. Girl, 20 years old, whom I, 23 years old, ex, 23 years old cheated on me with reached out to me, not sure how to respond. Hi all, using a throwaway account as my original account is traceable. A quick background, my ex and I broke up 6 months ago. We were together for about 3 years. I found out he was cheating on me, but to be clear, there were a lot of other reasons why we broke up. It was a messy breakup because my ex just basically split and didn't want to discuss things. Told me he didn't need to discuss things anymore because he already had someone new. A few days after our breakup, my ex and this girl, who we'll call Jessica, started posting all over social media about their relationship. I found this gross, but what else could I do? I just basically was hurting but didn't engage anymore. My ex's family reached out to me to basically say they were also uncomfortable about it. A mere few weeks after our breakup, my ex brought Jessica to a family dinner to introduce her. They weren't enthusiastic because they know that she's the girl my ex was cheating on me with, and everything was way too quick. My ex's dad reached out to me and even told me to not feel hurt if I saw pictures online. While they were uncomfortable, they didn't want to cause a scene. I just unfollowed people related to my ex so I wouldn't see. His family has been very caring about me and would support me to say they wish we could work things out. Each time, I would decline, and said that I just wish we could close things well. Ultimately, I mustered up the courage to message my ex so that he would return very sentimental, valuable things. Some of which belonged to my family. I also asked if he would already talk to me so we can finally close things. He agreed, and we did. The gist of our discussion was him apologizing for what he did. He told me he and Jessica broke up but were still talking. That he still loved me and just general reminiscing. Not a lot of people get closure, so while the discussion was a bit confusing, I appreciated it. I thought that was the end of it. We never spoke after, we've both said our piece. I was already dating someone else, and they were still talking so it seemed the both of us were just moving on. Yesterday, I randomly received a message from Jessica. She said she knew I was mad and that I deserved to feel that way and if we could talk. I asked her what about. She said she wanted to apologize for everything and that she understood how what they did hurt me. She said that her mistake was after finding out about the truth, my ex is cheating, they should have kept their relationship low-key. She said she always wanted to reach out but didn't have the guts to. She even mentioned that she tried talking to my ex to talk to me. I don't know how to take it and what a proper response is. I just don't agree with her sentiments on the situation. It's already been many months after, and I didn't appreciate the need to suddenly dig up on things I thought were already resolved. I also don't buy the idea that she didn't know about me. Just 3 days before our breakup, my ex was still positing pictures of me on his social media, posts he didn't delete. But even giving her the benefit of the doubt, she knew almost immediately after we broke up that my ex cheated on me with her. Am I being too harsh and bitter? I don't think I'm too angry anymore, but maybe I just have a great dislike of her. TLDR. Girl. My ex cheated on me with reached out because she wanted to apologize. Said she should have kept their low-key after learning my ex cheated on me with her. I'm not sure how to respond and if I'm being fair and feeling frustrated with her apology. TLDR. The girl my ex cheated on me with randomly messaged me a couple months back, turns out she was pregnant. Kinda got closure, am very happy. Hi all, my initial post didn't garner much attention, but I wanted to give a short update. I never responded back to Jessica and basically told her that while I understood she was guilty there really isn't anything she can and should do for me. Just that she has to make better decisions now and hopefully her guilt would mean she wouldn't hurt another person like that again. During the holidays, my ex's dad greeted me a Merry Christmas. I was also told of the news that Jessica was 4 to 5 months pregnant with my ex's child. Oh, it lines up now, and I guess that's why she messaged me, because they found out around that time. Just wish she was really sorry, Lamau. After that my ex and I had the chance to talk. While of course I was still not okay with the fact that he cheated on me, I wouldn't wish ill on an unborn child. He has a lot of growing up to do, and is not the most financially stable person. It also turns out the girl is quite young. I told him that I wished him well despite everything. His dad told me that he still believes he can make something of himself. When my ex and I talked, he admitted to me that the reason he cheated was because he knew I was already going to break up with him. This is partly true because months before, I sat him down and talked to him about issues in our relationship, and I had wanted to bring his attention to the fact that things really were no longer healthy. I guess it was my prelude to an amicable breakup. He told me that there really was a better way to break things off, but that he was too scared to be alone after breaking up. So he made sure he had someone to run to when we finally broke things off. I just really wish we could have ended things better. He was my best friend. The news shocked me, but in a way I guess I was able to get closure. I'm currently in a good and healthy relationship and starting the year with a really great outlook. Thank you all for the advice. I wish everyone had a great holiday. Edit. Oh wow, I really wasn't expecting this to blow up. I thought my post was locked, but glad I checked. I was sick last night and only had the chance to see it now. Just a few clarifications because a lot of people have questions. I'm sorry I wasn't too clear on the details, as I didn't want to submit such a lengthy post. I realized after rereading my post how confusing I was. My apologies. First is that yes, I did respond back to Jessica, the message I detailed in this post, after, sorry I made a mistake, the Reddit post, but she responded again. I no longer messaged back after, hope that's clear. You are all correct, based on the timeline she did get pregnant after we broke up. I discovered his cheating. What I didn't mention or was fully clear with yet is, around 4 or 5 months ago, my ex talked to me and told me that she and Jessica broke up, because they realized that they were in a relationship for the wrong reason. We talked for closure, but I realize now he was also testing the waters with me. I could be wrong though. There are a number of people who also question why I kept in contact with people in my ex's life, or why I even talked to him after everything. I agree that it isn't the most healthy or mature, and I call myself out on that a lot of times. It was just really hard to detach from his family, who I grew close to. When my ex's dad last talked to me, he told me that things will never change and he still loves me like a daughter. And while a lot of people don't agree with my last communication with my ex, I think it was helpful for both of us in the process of moving forward. I think we left the conversation clearing out that we don't have hate for each other, just wishing each other well. Also, I have to admit that I don't have the most positive image of Jessica, and I watch myself a lot of times not to be hateful. It's hard to judge when you only have the negative things shown to you. She did a lot of hurtful things to me, outside the cheating, but in the grand scheme of things, I really don't know the full story anyway. With how the chips fell, I think all I can do now is wish them the best. 2018 was a tough year. Went through a breakup, was cheated on, lost my sister, had to recontact my ex to get things my sister used to own back. These are the things I referenced to in my initial post, and basically had to pull myself back up after all the pain and losses. But I am glad to leave it all behind in 2018, and I am starting 2019 strong. Thank you for all the positivity and warm wishes, everyone. To a healthy year of growth ahead. Story 3, found messages on my straight girlfriend's phone asking a girl out on a date and telling her how hot she is. Don't know what to do? Hey guys, tough for me to write? Me, 26, and long-term, live in GF, 26, went out for drinks with friends the other week. She was drinking a lot and at one point went to get food for a long while. She came back in a bad mood and she was annoyed at me for no real reason on way home. I felt it was odd, but whatever. Then a week later she said she had a crazy idea and proposition. She then wouldn't say and got embarrassed. She later said she wanted to get me a present. It all just felt very off to me. So one night I looked through her phone, I know, and she had messaged a girl who, I think, works around the area. My girlfriend told her how hot she was and how she wanted to meet up for a drink and get to know each other better and how she wants to get to know her and really likes her. She told her where she works. These messages were sent the night we were drinking when she went to get food for ages. I really don't know what to do. Like, how do I bring it up? I really love her and don't want to break up with her, but it's definitely cheating? Before this she never mentioned being attracted to girls really. Anyone have any advice? How should I bring it up? What should I say? Is there any acceptable answer? Sorry for the long post, but I'm so confused and hurt at the moment. TLDR, found messages on my GFS phone asking another girl out on a date, telling her where she worked and saying how she finds her hot and really likes her. Story 4, my 35 years old wife, 38 years old, cheated on me yesterday. My wife and I met through online dating about a decade ago and hit it off pretty quickly. We have been married 8 years now. We own a house together and have 2 young, less than 6-year-old children. Neither of us had really had a successful long-term relationship prior to meeting each other. We are a team and we constantly have each other's backs. We have worked through some stuff in the past, mainly financial stuff we didn't see eye to eye on, but we communicate well and work through things as a team. We are a single unit. We have not had any insurmountable hurdles until seemingly now. She is straight, always maintains that she is straight, but she definitely has the sort of style that gives off "I like girls" vibes. My wife has issues with where to draw the line on joking about things, and in her workplace the level of joking, especially of a sexual nature, crosses all kinds of lines that wouldn't come near to being crossed at my workplace. I would get fired for the sort of stuff she and her coworkers joke about on a daily basis, But it comes with their work environment. Recently she has made a new friend at work, within the last couple of weeks, roughly the same age, who she could not stop talking about. Let's call her Rachel. Rachel is so funny. Rachel has a kid in our kids' class at school. Rachel sent me another funny message. She's so cool, haha. Rachel is roughly the same age as my wife and I to my knowledge, and is married to a wife and they have at least one kid. Last night I was plugging in the iPad to charge, and the iPad is linked to my wife's phone and so messages on her phone appear on the iPad as well. She was working a late shift so I was home alone with the kids. I was plugging it in and there was a message notification on the screen, a phone number with no name, and the message absolutely gushing about my wife's personality, looks, etc. Now normally, I don't dig into her messages. I see the jokes that come through sometimes and you can tell they are jokes. But this one didn't sit well with me. It was too non-jokey. Too legitimately heartfelt. And so I opened up the message. And what I gathered over the next 10 to 15 minutes is that this was Rachel texting her, and that something, not sure what, had happened earlier in the day between the two of them, physically, and that my wife had put up a boundary. But then all of the messages after that were the two of them flirting back and forth, and my wife asking what if they move the boundary, and Rachel responding that they could discuss setting a new boundary. My wife also expressed that she wishes she had met Rachel before me, or at least before we had kids. I took pictures of all of the messages with my phone. I wasn't sure how to screenshot them and send them to myself from the iPad without her realizing. And then I started texting her and asking her how her day was, what did she get up to, etc. It is slowly revealed that she had spent the morning with Rachel. That Rachel was at our house in the morning. For the whole morning. That they had chatted about issues at work and issues with Rachel's marriage. And my wife never does this. She never has people over to the house like that. The odd time she does I generally hear about it, she tells me because she is excited that she had an old friend over or something. And so I danced around it a bit with a few more text messages and then said screw it, I know something happened, and I'm going to put her on the spot, and I texted something along the lines of I am about to start asking some very real questions and you need to have a very good answer, and then indicated that I had charged up the iPad for her for when she got home. The iPad lights up with my message, and then I can see that she read it, and then it lights up again, with a message to Rachel, with a screenshot of my message to my wife, and she says to Rachel, we're done. Rachel asks what is going on and my wife says that I know because I can see the whole conversation on the iPad. And then she texts me back asking if she can call me in a few minutes when she can find a quiet spot at work. I told her not to call me, and made arrangements for her to sleep in the basement. I am numb right now. I did not sleep last night. I had a million thoughts floating through my head. This morning I sat with her in the early hours of the morning and had a discussion that I think we need to address this through a marriage counselor who knows better how to attack this. I asked her why and she has no answer. She says she can't explain it. She says there is nothing wrong with me, it is nothing I did. That she is happy in life and doesn't know why she did it. She says all they did was kiss, and nothing more, but I told her that I know from her messages that she was pushing for more. I poured my heart out to her and all I got back was some mumbled sorry, and, I know you're hurting, etc. She doesn't know what to say, and she seems numb as well. She said she is embarrassed. I told her that she is embarrassed and sorry only that she got caught, because she obviously wasn't thinking about me or the kids. I left this morning for work telling her that I am willing to patiently work through this with a marriage counselor but that this was going to take some time. That this wasn't it was a work party and we were all drunk and I made a mistake. This was a Thursday morning, stone cold sober, invited her into the house immediately after dropping the kids off at school. Minutes after. A couple hours after we had just had morning sex. And then flirting with her via text the rest of the day while at work together and further getting handsy at work, all the while texting me, how was your day? Here's what's in the fridge for the kids for dinner. Can we find some time to FaceTime the kids tonight? I can tell by the timestamps on the text messages that she was flirting with this Rachel right prior to and right immediately after the call with the kids. I am so mad and trying to keep a level head and not do anything without rational thought put in first. I believe in trying to fix this. Does anyone have any advice, or pointers etc., on how to go about this? I have already made clear that I want to go through marriage counseling. I have told her that I want her to get an STD screening. I have told her that she needs to smarten up at work and stop kidding around and act like a professional, regardless of what others do. She has indicated that she has cut contact with Rachel and will not speak to her other than in a professional capacity when she has to at work. I have photos of the messages they sent to one another and my wife does not know that I have them, only that I could see what was on the iPad. I have told her she can get comfy in the basement for a while. I don't know if there is anything else I can do right now. Is this a lost cause? Should I just go scorched earth? I don't want to do that to my kids. Should I get her checked for a tumor? I so badly want to believe she has some tumor that has tweaked her brain. This is just so out of left field. It came out of absolutely nowhere and is nothing like her, and she seems to have no real idea of why it happened, other than she got curious. Should I try and get in touch with Rachel's wife and let her know, or see if my wife has the balls to do it, or just leave that one well enough alone? She's got another late shift today and I am at work now, so we probably won't cross paths again until tomorrow morning. We have a weekend of kids' birthday parties to attend, which I don't know how we'll get through without people realizing there is something terribly wrong between us. Any advice anyone has I would very much appreciate before I speak to her in person again. I want to make this better and I don't want to feel like I screwed it up by trying the wrong way if it goes south. TLDR. My wife brought a woman home yesterday and they did something physical on the couch together, at the very least kissing for an extended period. My wife has no explanation. I would like to try and tackle this in a rational way, and am seeking advice on if there is anything else outside of marriage counseling that would be beneficial at this time. Story 5. My 38 years old wife, 36 years old, cheated on me a year ago and in response I asked for an open marriage and got it. Now we've closed it again and I need advice on reconciliation. My wife cheated on me a year ago. It was with another married man she met through the kids' activities. It lasted a few months before she broke it off, confessed and begged forgiveness. She didn't love him, but he was infatuated with her, pursued her hard and eventually she gave in. We have 2 young children and I couldn't bear to not see them every day, so I told my wife I would stay in the marriage but it would be open from here on out. It was the only way in my mind I could maintain some dignity. She agreed, but she never saw anyone else or even pursue it. Her former lover tried to pursue her again but she just blocked him. I didn't think I would see anyone either, simply because I didn't think anyone would want to be involved with me given my circumstances. But I ended up finding a woman in a similar situation. Her husband cheated and told her to cheat back to even things out. So she did with me. The whole thing didn't last very long, but my wife knew about it and just swallowed it. She would just cry and hold my hand when she knew I'd just been with her. It honestly made me feel like shit even though she cheated on me first. I started talking to another woman a few months after my short fling ended but did not pursue it. I just couldn't hurt my wife like that again. So last week I told her I would like to close the marriage and go to counseling. She cried again, but this time it was happy tears, and we have our first appointment next week. Am I doing the right thing here? I do love her and she spent a year watching me talk to women and ultimately sleep with one and didn't complain about it. I also don't think I acted appropriately. I was hurt and wanted her to hurt like I did, but that's not healthy and I ended up hurting myself in the process. I just need some advice. TLDR. My wife cheated on me and we opened the marriage in response. Now we've closed to again and I am considering reconciling, but I don't know if it is the right thing to do. Edit. 2 common things have come up a lot in the comments, so I will address them. Why she cheated? My wife and I have been married for 13 years and have young kids. So with that, the romance in our relationship took a hit. Life was all about the kids. So then AP comes along. They become friends. Then he tells her he has feelings for her. He tells her how stunning she is, that she is a goddess that deserves to be worshipped, and that her husband doesn't appreciate what he has. My wife told me all of this made her feel good and she let it get physical because in the moment she wanted to experience what it was like to be with someone who worshipped her like that. She eventually realized she didn't have feelings for him, and after the initial thrill wore off, the sex wasn't even good. After she cheated, I felt so emasculated and disrespected I simply could not continue in the marriage unless we opened it. She did agree to this and she could see other people if she wanted as well. But at the time I just couldn't let what she did to me go unanswered and feel any self-respect. I ended up feeling like shit for hurting her, but we have talked about it and she does get where I was coming from. Story 6. Just discovered that my 39 years old wife, 40 years old of 17 years, has been cheating on me with a coworker. I just discovered this morning that my wife has been having an affair with a coworker. My head is in a really strange space right now. I don't feel how I thought I would feel, and it's almost like it doesn't feel real yet, or it just hasn't sunk in. She was at work, I was still home. We have a tablet computer that mostly our kids use for games and homework apps, and it was chiming a bunch of times with new text messages. The message app on the tablet is synced to my wife's phone, and I'm used to hearing it in the background, and I normally just ignore it. I was cleaning up around the house, and when I grabbed the tablet to plug it in, I noticed a series of very sexual texts between my wife and a coworker on the lock screen. I have literally never snooped on my wife's texts before, but after seeing this, I opened the Messages app and read through all of her texts with this coworker, and, to be honest, I read a whole bunch of her texts with other people too, none of which were at all significant. The text history only went back 2 months. A lot of the texts were about completely innocuous work stuff, but, going all the way back to the beginning of the text history, there were occasional texts that were explicitly sexual or romantic. So, I basically now know that she's been having an affair with this guy for months. He's about 10 or 15 years older than her. He works in a different department, so neither of them has any supervisory authority over the other, but they work together frequently on projects that involve both departments. I've met him a couple times and he seemed to me like an okay guy. His name comes up a lot when my wife tells me about what's going on at work, so I knew that they work together a lot and get along really well. I never remotely imagined that my wife would do something like this. It never even crossed my mind that this was possible. Before today, I trusted her more than I have ever trusted anyone in my life. That's what's messing with my mind the most when I think about it. Now, in retrospect, I feel like a complete fool. She would occasionally stay late working on projects with him, or go to evening work-related events with him when I was home watching the kids. I never questioned it for a second because I trusted her. Here's the thing, I thought we had a really strong marriage. I think any of our friends or family would have said that we have one of the best marriages they know. We love spending time with each other, we plan fun date nights every so often to get away from the kids, and we both absolutely love our kids. I have always said that my wife is my best friend, and I still think it's true. Our sex life has been up and down over the years of our marriage. Kids got in the way at times, and we've had some relatively dry spells now and then, but lately it's been good. She's been really into it and it's been reasonably frequent. Of course, I have no idea when the affair started. More than 2 months ago, but for all I know this may have been going on for a couple years. This past year we've both been under a lot of stress. She's taken on some extra work responsibilities which have been a strain, and I've had a career setback which was both stressful, demoralizing and time-consuming. As a result we've both been a bit grumpier than usual, and we've had more real arguments than in the past, including a couple real shouting blow-ups which had never happened before. But we always made up, and in between things seemed okay, and I thought we were managing to cope with a stressful period. We have always talked a lot about our future, what we'll do when the kids go off to college, things we want to do when we retire, long-term house and travel plans, etc. And she had never given me any reason to doubt that we were in this together for life. Anyway, I'm not sure how I feel or what I should do now. It's really strange, I feel like I should be in a blind rage right now, but I really don't even feel angry, not even at the other guy, and I don't understand why. I absolutely don't want to divorce her, I still love her, and I really can't imagine my life without her. Plus we have young kids who would be devastated. But now I don't have any confidence that I know what she wants. Some of the texts were sexual, but others were romantic. She wrote things like, "I really miss you, wish you were here with me," with heart and kiss emojis, and he wrote similar things to her. I know he has a couple older kids, I think college age, but I honestly have no idea if he's married or divorced or what. And I don't know if she, or he, views this affair as a serious long-term thing, or just some kind of forbidden thrill. I'm almost inclined to just pretend I don't know what I know and let it keep going behind my back, but I worry about it blowing up on me. First, if she was careless enough to let me find out about it, who else is going to find out, or already knows? If this got out at her work, it would be devastating. She is fairly high profile in our community, and has a very promising career in front of her, and this could be a career-ending level scandal. I'm a pretty private person and have no desire to have my dirty laundry aired in public, and I also don't want her to get hurt. And, though I can't be sure, it seems like some of their sexual encounters have actually happened at their workplace. That's a disaster waiting to happen. Second, these text messages are showing up on the tablet that our kids use. Some of the texts would go right over their heads, but at least our oldest child is mature enough that she would realize something very wrong was going down if she saw them. I can't delete the app or account without making her suspicious, and, to be honest, until this is all out in the open I intend to keep reading her texts. So, I think I need to confront her about this, but I'm not sure how to do it, and I'm definitely not looking forward to it. I'm also worried that even though I'm completely calm and rational about it right now, that might change once the whole situation really sinks in. I've also had a few of what I think are really bad ideas today. First, I've been thinking about buying a prepaid burner phone and anonymously texting her things like, "I know about you and X. If you don't come clean to your husband, I'm going to tell him everything." To try to make her be the one who has to bring up the subject. But this seems cruel and cowardly. Second, I've been thinking about trying to use this affair as leverage to open up our marriage. I've had fantasies over the years about swinging, or threesomes, or just being with other women, but I never thought about it seriously, at least partly because my wife had never shown the slightest bit of interest. But this seems self-destructive to me. Evening things up won't fix whatever problems we're having, and probably just adds another potentially toxic element to the mix. I want to save my marriage, not pressure her into something she wouldn't otherwise have agreed to. Finally, I have this lingering doubt in my mind about the whole affair. Maybe I'm overreacting and seeing something that's not there. The sexual texts are pretty explicit and unmistakable. But maybe this is their version of flirtatious banter, sort of a long-running inside joke between the two of them that they have this secret affair going on. That seems like wishful thinking to me, and doesn't make me feel any better about the more romantic texts. I have no one to talk to about this. Basically, any of my friends that I would feel comfortable talking to are part of the same social circle as my wife and her close friends, and I just have no confidence that word wouldn't spread. I've heard too much gossip from too many people over the years to have that kind of trust. I have family members I could talk to who I trust completely, but I'm afraid this would permanently poison them against my wife, and I don't want that to happen. So that's what brings me to Reddit, looking for any advice or insight that you can give me. I'm sorry if this post is all over the place, but I think that reflects all the different directions my mind is going in right now. Story 7, my wife, 38 years old, cheated on me, 38 years old. I suspected for too long and found proof on November 18. TLDR, wife of 8 years had a full-blown affair. I discovered it and we're still trying to figure things out. I have some specific questions for the community and appreciate any other feedback. I started dating my wife in 2000 and we were married in 2005. Our son was born in 2010. 13-year relationship, married for 8, son that is 3.5 years old. Both of us have lots of family locally and good support bases for babysitting. Divorce would require the sale of our house and the relocation of her parents, that rent a second house from us. I would retain that house and my wife would sell the one we live in. These issues were discussed and, on a macro level, were agreed to a few weeks back. For the past year or so I've suspected that my wife was having an emotional affair with one of her colleagues. I asked her about it many times, every few days toward the end, and even asked her if she had sex with him. Everything was denied. She claimed he was a friend and even showed me pictures of him and his family, told me where he worked, same industry, different company, and filled me in on some of their conversations. She was so lighthearted about it that I even started calling this guy her boyfriend. On November 17 we had dinner with her parents and he got brought up in the most casual of ways. My wife hesitated just 0.5 seconds longer than normal in her reaction to her parents, and I knew that something was up. The next morning I took our family laptop and checked her iPhone backups for evidence. Turns out she had been sexting with him since early September and had been having a full-blown sexual affair with him since early October. I confronted her about it and she came clean, admitting to everything including a one-night stand with the guy back in February of 2013 at a work conference. So, in a nutshell, one-night stand in February 2013, sexting in September 2013, and a dozen or so sexual encounters in October and November of 2013. The last bit included a 3-day honeymoon, his words, during a work conference in October. They had specific plans to continue this through February 2014 until the same conference that they met at a year before. They both had agreed, in writing, before I discovered them, that they would end it after that. I had my wife get STD tests, all clear, and she will follow up in 6 months. She and I were sleeping together during the affair and have continued to do so after. The other guy, 42, fairly successful, married with 3 kids, lives in the same town as us. I've ran into him already once when shopping. Point, we live nearby and will contend with running into each other from time to time. His wife, 42, who doesn't work, doesn't know about the affair. My wife seemed to indicate that his wife would likely go ballistic and take him to the cleaners, if she found out. My wife and I are in therapy, couples and individual, and we are still working to see if we want to stay together. At this point she is 50-50 and I'm 25-75 or 75-25 depending on the day. We are very civil with each other and I believe that there is still mutual love between us. As you would imagine, there is also a great deal of pain, mistrust, tension, resentment, and a host of other emotions. I think that the relationship is salvageable if we are both willing to put in a ton of work. An issue is I'm not sure that either of us can stomach the process for months and months or longer. We've discussed some of the reasons she did what she did, including some mutual faults in our relationship. We are working on those and I expect it to take a long time. In the meantime, I'm struggling with a few issues. I have a strong desire to tell his wife. I think it would be morally right and I'd feel some sense of righteousness in fixing that wrong. Consider it my way of getting back at him. The problem is that doing so may cause blowback on his career as well as my wife's. Thus, it could have blowback on me. I'm 99.9% sure I can't tell the wife, but I can't help but fantasize ways to tip her off while maintaining culpable deniability. If my wife and I do split up, I am currently vengeful enough that I'm 99.9% sure that I'm outing him to his wife. Note aforementioned cleaners, comment. Trust. I trust that my wife isn't sleeping or even communicating with this guy anymore. I have a good amount of proof that she is on the up and up, not to mention that I still have the iPhone backups, complete with mutually damning photos and texts. If I were to catch them again at something, then it would be game over. The guy has a lot to lose should I go public. Having said that, my wife did sneak around with impunity for a few months, so I have some basic issue of who the fuck is this person that I'm married to. Basically, I assume everything she says is a lie until I can reasonably verify it through independent research. How have other people learned to trust again? My child. At 3.5 he is very young and won't likely remember much of mommy and daddy as a couple if she and I were to split up now. In a year that won't be the case. Right now he's pretty oblivious to our issues as, for the most part, we've kept calm when he is in the house. I'm sure, however, that he can sense the tension between us. I know for a fact that both she and I are likely more short with him. Has anyone else in the group been in similar situations with similar aged children? How did you handle things and how did it work out for your kids? Who to confide in? She has told her parents, sister, and a close friend. I have told the same plus a few out-of-town friends. In a nutshell, we've largely hidden this from local friends, co-workers, etc. Of course there is a part of me that wants to stand on a metaphorical mountaintop and let everyone know. Realistically, however, if we do work through this, I'm not sure I want that ghost to forever follow us in a public setting. Lastly, any other tips, questions, comments, etc.? I'm sure I missed some stuff. Edit, some minor details. Story 8. My wife just confessed to cheating on me with her ex-boyfriend 1 month into us being exclusive. We've been together 13 years. My M35 wife, F37, have been together for 13 years, married for 10. We have 3 kids. This all just came out over the weekend and I've been a wreck. I'm not sure how to handle this. My wife was 24 when we met, I was 22. When we met, we were both in school and she was in a relationship with her boyfriend at the time. They had been together for 5 years. We became friends through school and had to work on a few assignments together. Everything was very platonic. I remember asking about her boyfriend and she explained to me that they had been together since she was 19, so together for 5 years, but she felt like the relationship was over. They weren't intimate much, and he was somewhat emotionally abusive. He dictated her outfits, told her she was too fat, she wasn't, and always showed her other women and how he'd rather be with them. He even cheated on her a few times and was openly dating other women near the end of their relationship. She called me one day, as a friend, to complain about what was going on. She told me that he had told her he wanted to explore other women and felt like they should break up. She was pretty upset. I took her out for lunch and basically just listened to her and supported her as a friend. The next week, she called me again, this time to let me know that he had dumped her and he was moving out of the house they shared. I was a young dude and thought, hey, perfect, I'll be a rebound and try to get with her. Shitty on my part, but as a 22-year-old guy I didn't care. I took her out to dinner and we started having regular dates. They still lived together, and our conversations were heavily centered around her breakup and the drama it entailed. I'd pick her up from their house and we'd go hang out. This went on for a few weeks, and we ended up sleeping together one night when I brought her back to my place. After that, I really started to develop feelings. Knowing I really liked her, I asked her to be my girlfriend. She was still living with her ex, as he hadn't moved out yet. So now, I was dating a girl exclusively that still lived with her ex-boyfriend. I trusted her that nothing was going on and the relationship was dead. She seemed to really hate him. For timeline purposes, I'll reiterate that they broke up, and 1 month later I asked her to be my exclusive girlfriend. We continued being all about each other and I was there to support her as she kicked him out. He ended up moving out a few weeks later when he finally found his own place. At this point, it was nice to know he was fully moved out, and so we started to feel like a real relationship without any other drama of her ex. A week later, which was about a month of us being exclusive, I had planned a date night for us. We were supposed to meet at 7 p.m. at a restaurant in town. I texted her an hour before and didn't hear back. I tried calling, no answer. I ended up driving over to her place and she wasn't home. I started to worry, but there wasn't anything I could do. She ended up calling me at 11 p.m. that night apologizing profusely because she had been at a friend's house studying for finals and had left her phone in the car. She said she totally forgot about our date and felt terrible. I told her it was okay and didn't think too much about it. I trusted her. Everything went on as normal. A week later, her ex-boyfriend started harassing her, calling her non-stop. She said that she told him to leave her alone, and that he wanted her back but she didn't want to be with him. It actually got to a point that he'd sit outside her house for hours at a time. I was over there one day and she called the police when he showed up. She ended up filing a restraining order against him and we never heard from him again. About a year later, we had some drinks and she let it slip that she was actually over at his house the night she claimed to be studying and left her phone. She apologized profusely and told me that his mom was in town, and she was trying to help him get her back. She agreed to do dinner with both of them and talk about their relationship. She was very close to his mom, so she agreed to meet them out for dinner to just talk. She said that after dinner, she went back to his new place, with his mom, and the three of them continued talking. She said it got late, and she stayed the night instead of driving home. I was obviously upset about the whole thing, but she said she had explained to him that she no longer wanted to be in a relationship with him and had moved on. She said nothing happened. Several times over the next several years, I pressed her about that night. I felt very insecure about it. Every time I asked her if she cheated on me, she said she didn't. She said that she just went over there to talk and fell asleep after she called me. She said she felt terrible lying but was feeling bad about everything and was so fresh out of her breakup that she didn't know how to handle it. But she stayed firm in her claim that she had never cheated on me, even goofed. We ended up getting married and having 3 kids. This past weekend, I pressed her one last time about that evening. I told her something wasn't sitting right with me after all these years. It randomly popped into my head and I asked her one more time. What really happened that night? I'm not sure if I believe you or your story. It just doesn't make sense. She broke down crying, and I knew. She explained to me that she never wanted to tell me the truth. She said she did go over to his house with him and his mom, but his mom ended up leaving and they sat and talked about their relationship. She said that one thing led to another and they ended up having sex on the sofa. She said she was confused about her feelings, being 2 months out of her 5-year relationship with him and dating me. She said that she hadn't processed the ending of that relationship and was confused about what she wanted, as he had dumped her but was then begging for her back. She told me they had sex, then she called me as I was calling her nonstop worried about her, and she ended up staying the night there, and went home in the morning. After that, she told him that she didn't want to get back with him and they needed to stay apart. I know it all stopped, because very clearly she was avoiding him and went as far as getting a restraining order against him in the following weeks. But now here I sit, feeling shattered. She confessed to lying to me for the past 13 years, and had been gaslighting me. Every time I asked her about that night, she denied anything inappropriate happening. I started to feel crazy and insecure, and had accepted that I was just losing my mind. But now I know that she did cheat on me that night. I suppose I can make excuses for her, telling myself that I began dating a girl who had just been dumped by a guy she was with for 5 years, accepting that I was a rebound, and she was even still living with him in the beginning. I believe her that she hasn't cheated any other time, and there was just an overlap in her relationship with him and myself. That being said, I'm still severely hurt by the lie and I'm feeling very confused about how to feel about this. We've been together for 13 years, we have 3 kids, and we've had an otherwise great relationship. This new information is all so much. I'm even considering divorce here. After 13 years, finding out that she cheated on me during our first month of being exclusive and then lied to me about it this whole time, I'm a wreck. I know I need to process this before I take any action, but I wanted to share to Reddit for some perspective and clarity. She's been apologizing profusely and had reassured me over and over that she feels terrible, and that she only lied because she knew it would never happen again, knew she wanted to be completely done with that relationship after that night, and was just confused in the beginning transitioning from a 5-year relationship with him to a new relationship with me. She understands why I'm devastated. She also keeps reminding me that she was young, hurt, confused, and didn't know what she wanted until after that night when she realized she wanted to be completely done with him. I'm certain she hasn't stepped out on our relationship any other time. If I were to ever question anything, it would have been that one night where she disappeared and I didn't know where she was. After that, I always knew where she was, who she was with, and I've never had any reason to suspect anything was wrong. Do I need to slow down and work on forgiving her, or does this sound divorce-worthy? I love her with everything I have, and we've built a family and life together, but this is the hardest thing I've ever had to learn. TLDR. After 13 years, my wife confessed to cheating on me with her recent ex-boyfriend of 5 years, 1 month into us exclusively dating. I don't know what to do. Story 9. Me, 33 years old with my wife, 33 years old of 9 years, she cheated and I'm gone. I will try and keep this brief. Thanks to all of you who have contributed to breakup threads and infidelity threads over the past few months. There have been many evenings when many hours have been spent poring over the advice that is generated from these posts. It has helped me to formulate a plan and then execute it. Here is the short version of the last 7 months. Happily married, no kids, both professionals. My job requires a good bit of travel, which is not a big deal since her job forces her to work 80+ hours a week. We are both very busy, but her much more than myself. A few things didn't add up last September, so based on the advice on Reddit, the investigating began. It took me a long time to figure out what was going on because she was excellent at covering her tracks. Around November, all of the pieces came together and outside help was brought in to help me get all my ducks in a row. An attorney was hired and so was a private eye. In January, everything was confirmed 100% by the PI and that was all the proof that I needed. After much thought, today is the day that everything ends. I have been planning it since the visual confirmation earlier this year. She is being served at her office today at 4 p.m. Based on conversations she has had with me and conversations she has been having with the other guy, there is no way she has any idea that this is coming from me. It will be a shock, but certainly not a surprise. The divorce will be very simple since we earn about the same amount of money and don't have a ton of stuff. The truck is in front of the house and it is now loaded. I am moving out of state. It doesn't matter where I live since I am in sales and my territory is half of the United States. The furniture that is going with me are the pieces that were given to me by my family when we married. She can have everything else and she is going to be keeping 3/4 of it anyway. I am driving the truck myself and can't wait to get to my new condo and start a brand new life. My last 6 months have been pure hell. Here is the question, and I think I already know the answer, but would love to hear your opinions. Her other guy is a coworker at the law firm. He is in his early 50s with a wife and 3 daughters. They don't appear to work in the same department, and he is not her boss. By all appearances, he has a great family and a great life. Do I contact his wife as I am leaving town? Would you want to know? Am I just being spiteful? TLDR. She cheated. I am out, trying to figure out whether to ruin lives on the way out the door. Edit. She got the papers. Phone calls and texts non-stop for the last 15 or so minutes. Her sister and mother have phoned me as well. I have not responded to any of them. Also, I am moving from a large city in the Northeast to Florida, trying to get to South Carolina tonight and then to my final stop tomorrow. I am stopping for gas and coffee right now and I really appreciate all of the kind words. Edit. 2. I am still on the road, but getting closer to my new home. Last night was very interesting. I did not speak with her or text her. I did speak on the phone with my mother and her sister. My words were very careful and thought out to her sister as I would expect her to hang up the phone with me and tell her everything. Talking to my mom was not easy. It is a humiliating situation to discuss with your family. My mom gave me 100% support and is coming to visit me next weekend at my new place. Moms are the best. I will get settled in and update everything in a couple of days. I have decided to not contact the boyfriend's wife. I could change my mind down the road, but for now, no contact with her is planned. Looking forward to starting new. Story 10. I, 27 years old, had been with my now ex, 27 years old, for 10 years. I proposed last week during a trip to St. Lucia. She told me she'd been cheating. /r/relationships. How does one move forward after a decade being with someone then getting screwed over in the worst way possible? Sorry about the title length, it just sort of came out. I had been with Carrie for 10 years, best friends since we met at the age of 12 in high school. We had tons of amazing memories. We've traveled to several countries together and made long-term work for 3 years while separated due to studies. Though now I'm having trouble believing anything was real. Last Thursday I proposed to her in St. Lucia, not in front of anyone, mind you. I wanted it to just be private. She didn't say anything and I was thinking, oh shit, did I say or do something wrong? She started crying and said she had something to explain to me. She didn't want to marry me because she'd been sleeping with the coworker she said was just a friend for around 3 months. She said she rationalized it was just a thing that would pass, but it's continued, and she said she loves me so much, more than I'll ever understand, that I've helped her so much and she doesn't even know why she has done this. She said she loved me too much to marry me knowing she'd done what she did. She doesn't love the guy, it was just sex and she had been trying to stop the affair, but I proposed before that happened and she said she knew when I was kneeling that she couldn't marry me, not after everything I'd done for her, so she told me. I feel like my whole world has shattered. We had an awkward flight home on Friday evening and haven't spoken since. She has tried calling me but I haven't answered and I have until Monday off, so I'm just here. I've barely eaten, I feel like there's a black hole in my stomach draining everything I have mentally. I can't wrap my head around the fact that she was cheating, that she lied, that she hid it from me. My sister apparently had some words for her. I'm trying to pretend I'm okay, but I'm not. Every morning that I've woken up since last week Friday morning has just been bleak. I love her so much, but I've no intentions of getting back together. I don't think I would ever be able to trust her again, much less forgive her for a very long time. My best friend brought a six-pack yesterday and we drank in the evening. I cried my eyes out in the shower last night. I never cry, not even when my mom, who I was extremely close to, passed away. But I was sobbing like a child last night, and honestly I would have loved if my mom had been there to tell me it'd be okay. My sister brought over some breakfast this morning and basically made me eat because she knows I haven't really been eating lately, zero appetite. Anyway, I'm sorry this post is so incoherent. Any tips for someone on how best to move forward and where to go from here? Because I've got nothing. No ideas, no clue. I feel like a zombie. TL.dr girlfriend of 10 years admitted to cheating for the past several months when I proposed. We're done, but I have no clue what to do now. My life revolved around this woman for over a decade. She was my rock and my everything, and all that just died a little under a week ago. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like and hit that subscribe button to follow cheating love stories for more amazing videos. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next one.